I absolutely love a deal. I've done and will continue to do a lot of stupid stuff for a deal, and I think my favorite genre of deal has to be a flight deal. More specifically these days, I've become just a little bit obsessed with premium flight deals. Premium flight deals are just more exciting. You get higher highs, lower lows, and in this week's video, I want to run you through a recent deal I indulged in with Royal Jordanian, why it had some of the highest highs I've ever experienced, but also some of the lowest lows, and why despite all that, I'd probably do it all again. I've done a few cheap business class deals before, and they often have a few hoops you need to jump through in order to make them work. For example, last year I did Philippine Airlines business class. The hoops there were a 3 a.m. 3-hour red-eye flight and a 14-hour layover in Manila in order to experience their nice long-haul business class. Today's deal was a return trip from Colombo to Rome with quite a few more hoops. To start, look, I paid $1,414 USD for this return business class trip. This ticket comprised of 6 flights and was technically ticketed with Royal Jordanian, but 4 of the 6 flights were on Qatar Airways, arguably one of the best airlines in the world, with arguably one of the best business classes in the world. So far, so good. What were the upfront hoops I knew I was going to be jumping through? Well, first up, I had a 7-hour daytime layover in Doha Airport. It wasn't a very hard hoop to jump through though, due to some technicalities we'll get into in a future video. I had access to the Al Safwa first class lounge. Somehow ridiculous. Basically, I ended up doing half a day's work from the world's most luxurious WeWork, and I also ran a 5K inside the airport, because what else do you do with 7 hours in an airport? Hoop number 2. Now, this is where things get fun. I was scheduled to have a 13-hour overnight layover in Amman, Jordan. When I booked this route, I really didn't think about where I was going to sleep that night, but I figured a nearby hotel couldn't be that pricey or complicated. We'll get to that in a second. Hoop number 3. A 2.5-hour red-eye flight, and then another layover in Doha Airport, this time 14 hours. The flight timings kind of sucked, but this was a deal. Then came the unexpected hoops. Around 3 weeks before this trip, Royal Jordanian cancelled the Amman to Rome leg and automatically swapped me to a flight that would have had me arriving into Rome just 70 minutes before I was scheduled to depart Rome. I would have been getting off this flight, getting a lovely EU stamp in my passport, just to turn right back around and get back onto the plane. That's if I could even do it in the 70 minutes that they gave me. Obviously, this was not going to work, and this is where we encountered the next issue. How do you contact them? I tried their Sydney office, they couldn't fix it. I tried emailing, that didn't work. So after 4 days of no contact, my only option was to call their 24/7 Jordanian call center. Slight issue here. With my Australian phone plan, I can only call 20-ish countries overseas, Jordan not being one of them. I couldn't even pay an exorbitant amount of money per minute to call Jordan. The call just wouldn't even connect. And I'll admit this is completely a me issue, but I still think you should be aware of the pitfalls. So I resorted to firing up the OG video calling application. Not Zoom, not Teams, Skype. Remember that bad boy? And I loaded up $25 worth of call credit to hopefully change my flight to something that would give me a little longer than 2 hours in Europe. Quick tangent here. Did you know that eBay acquired Skype in 2005?
I like some of the Gaga songs. What the does she know about cameras?
Anyway, Skype charges 32 cents a minute for calls to Jordan, so I was praying that this call would take less than 75 minutes. This might sound crazy, but I've been on the phone to Alaska Airlines, Virgin Australia, Qantas, upwards of 45 minutes to an hour sometimes to just try and fix a flight.
We're sorry. All of our representatives are still assisting other customers. Please remain on the line as we value your call.
But miraculously, the guy at Royal Jordanian was great. I ended up swapping to the Paris flight at a similar time to my original Rome flight, and the whole call was finished in under 10 minutes. Problem solved, issue abated. The guy on the phone also told me that because I now had an 11-hour layover in Amman, I was eligible for their free transit hotel. This was excellent. 2 birds, 1 stone. I no longer had to sort out the Amman hotel. Then I actually got to Amman. So I'm like 90% sure there's a free transit hotel if you're flying Royal Jordanian. There's a sign. Should you require the service of Amman Airport Hotel, kindly pick up the handset and be directed to the hotel representative. And there's just a phone. Is it here? Hello? Is this the hotel? Transit hotel for Royal Jordanian? Yeah, I'm with Royal Jordanian, but I don't have a voucher, like a physical voucher or anything. I've got to go ask Royal Jordanian counter. Okay, I'll see. I'll go that. Okay, thank you. Okay, but there's no one at the Royal Jordanian counter.
Rio Jordanian, not here. Another side, okay?
Okay.
You go from here, South Transit.
Out that way and around? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just to set the scene here, I landed at 11:35 p.m. at night, and in order to get this free transit hotel, you have to go to one of the Royal Jordanian customer service desks, and then they take down all your details. I don't really know. In short, it was a bit of an effort to find it. Let's go through this transit hotel quickly. Royal Jordanian offers this service if you're connecting in Amman for longer than 6 hours in business class or 8 hours for economy. Now, I was told on the phone that I would get access to this, and after some admittedly minor Googling, I couldn't find any real details on booking a hotel or what the process was. It was kind of just like you show up and you just get taken to this hotel or something. So that's sort of what I did. Now, I had incredibly low expectations here. Pretty much every review that I read online said that this hotel was terrible. Apart from our man Abdul Rahman here, of course.
Real Jordanian.
But it's sold out,
Qatar,
lucky for me, I guess. I never got to experience this hotel though. After a lot of back and forth with my man here at the desk, I was informed that I didn't have access to it because I was connecting from a Qatar Airways flight. A Qatar Airways flight that had a Royal Jordanian flight number. It was a code-shared flight. Just remember that I booked this all with Royal Jordanian. Now, this was one of those situations where he was technically right. On the first line of the terms and conditions, they state that the passenger must be traveling on flights offered for sale and operated by RJ. Operated was the key word. The guy on the phone didn't tell me this. I skim read this and didn't even think about it when I was Googling. And even in some of the forums where people are talking about getting access to this transit hotel, they stated that they were connecting to a Qatar flight or connecting from a Qatar flight. So I think this is down to who you have on the day and the literal boarding pass that you have. Because I started my trip in Colombo on a Qatar Airways flight, all of my 3 flights to Paris were printed on Qatar Airways boarding passes. I just have a bit of an inkling that if I had Royal Jordanian boarding passes, I may have had a better chance of getting this transit hotel.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
At this point, I was mad and tired, and I just sat on the floor and yapped for 20 minutes straight. I'll save you from all of that. You see, I'm jaded though against Royal Jordanian now. So now I'm thinking like, all right, what am I going to do? Apparently there's a hotel in the terminal. I don't know if that exists. I can't find it on Google, but... All right, so I'm in a hotel room now. They actually do have them at Amman Airport. You basically can't find this online. You got to go like the North Terminal, and then it's both a lounge and a hotel. It's a bit confusing. It's called like the Petra Hotel Lounge. Thing is, it's ridiculously expensive. I didn't quite realize it was 130 JD or something, 140 JD, 125 JD, Jordanian dollars, right? And I thought Jordanian dollars were pretty close to USD, something like, well, it's gonna be like $200 for 6 hours, because you paid by the hour basically. No, it was 265 Australian dollars. Bed is really firm. There's a bathroom in there. But I guess, honestly, I gotta give it to him. It is probably cleaner than the Jordanian, Royal Jordanian Transit Hotel. Doesn't smell like cigarettes in here. So I guess that's a win. But yeah, I'm just spending money left, right, and center. I didn't quite realize how bad that was gonna be. I'm in my overpriced hotel room now. I've got to try and maximize my 6 hours, as much sleep as possible, before we actually step foot on the Royal Jordanian plane. Okay, that's incredibly weird, just walking out of a hotel into an airport terminal. All right, so we're flying to Paris today. I'm annoyed at Royal Jordanian, but it is what it is. I had a bit of time before my flight, so I went to the lounge for breakfast. It's one level up from the main terminal level. There's a bunch of seating. It's nice and airy. The actual airport's quite grand, to be honest. But yeah, the lounge all around, they had a good selection of food. They had some barista-made coffee as well. This isn't as crazy decadent as the Qatar lounges, but it definitely did the job for me. I did read on some of the forums that they charge for showers, even if you're like flying business class. Bit weird. Not sure about that. I obviously didn't need a shower. If you're planning on that, maybe give that a Google. Bit weird. Anyway, after a quick pit stop there, it was off to get on the plane. Now, I actually got a bit lucky with the flight cancellation here. My original return ticket to Rome had me flying on Royal Jordanian's regional Embraer jets there and back. These planes have a pretty boring recliner business class seat, but by being able to swap to the Paris flight, I was able to get onto their Dreamliner, which feature their creme de la creme business class seat. This is a fully lie-flat seat, but by no means is it class leading. You'll see that in a second. But at least I get to see the best of Royal Jordanian and then also compare it with the Embraer on the way back. 1, 2, 3, A. Let's see. Tiniest footwell on what might be going to Royal Jordanians. Arabic coffee kind of slaps. It's kind of spicy.
And landing. To fasten your seatbelt, Tories are equipped with smoke detectors.
I'll keep the actual flight review portion of this video fairly condensed just because this wasn't in any way a super special business class experience. Let's run through what's good, what's average, and what's weird. Starting with the good, the food was kind of good. Cashew is humongous. That's like the largest cashew I've ever seen. Oh, it's got a lot of crunch too. They're all roasted really well. Like they're not warm nuts, but they're all roasted really, really well. They're probably some of the best nuts I've ever had on a plane. Huh? They're way better than the Qatar nuts. The starter plate probably wasn't quite as good as the nuts, but still pretty good. I particularly like the way that they served it. They come around with this trolley, you can kind of see it here. They've got all of the options in these big trays and you can just select everything. It's not like you select a specific option off the menu. You can just pick all of the sides from every single option if you like. I really liked that. That was the same for both the starter and the main. The starter was probably a little bit better than the main, but overall both were pretty good. Like I want to not like Royal Jordanian after last night, but that was actually like very refreshing. Okay, so there's only 8 of us in business class out of 24 seats, I want to say, so a third full. I just saw a guy walk through these curtains in this hoodie, just walked up and just grabbed the blankets and the pillows off the 2 middle seats. No one's sitting there, but he just walked in and grabbed them. Go get it, I guess, King? Is that a respectable move? I don't know. I don't know if I should respect him for that. The seat. It's a seat. It's very average. Keep in mind too that this is Royal Jordanian's best seat and is used on their longest flights to the US and Asia, etc. It's one that we've seen before on KLM and it's a fairly common design. It's just nowhere near as good as the class-leading business class suites that exist today. It's in this 2-to-2 layout, which means you have to climb over your seatmate to get out, which can be a bit awkward if they're asleep and you don't know them. It's also not very private or spacious. There's only a couple of spots to store your stuff. And while it is a lie-flat seat, which is always appreciated, the footwell is absolutely tiny and it's generally not that comfy in bed mode. It just gets so narrow so quickly. So I would find that definitely really uncomfortable. It's that thing, isn't it? It's a lie-flat bed on a plane. Like, you have to sleep with gratitude and it helps the dreams come quicker. Instead of like thinking about what you don't have, you got to think about what you do have. And just imagine sitting in economy, which I've definitely done a lot of and I'll probably do a lot more of in the future, depending on how this YouTube channel goes. I'd rather be uncomfortable flat than uncomfortable sitting. I just want to touch on Jordan quickly here. They're not like the Gulf Middle Eastern countries that have some of the largest oil reserves in the world. They pretty much have no oil, and they definitely have nowhere near the economic might that, say, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, these sort of countries have. So I guess lower your expectations a bit with the airline. I did stop in Jordan for a couple of days on my way back. It's a really fascinating, beautiful place. I'd highly recommend it. There's a fly flying around in here. Poor little guy. He started his day in Amman and now he's going to end up in Paris. I really hope he speaks French. And now the weird. The in-flight entertainment was interesting. Honestly, when I loaded it up and saw this, I was thinking, oh boy, this is reminding me of the UIs I made in my 3rd year of computer science. Like, you get weird stock images and like it looks almost half done. Just check out this early 2000s design going on. That being said, I kind of actually like it. I kind of like the retro vibe about it. When you see these as the two options when you click movies, you know that they're not going to have many movies, or at least that's what you'd think, right? We've either got their recommends or we got all movies. What is going on here? I feel like you should have genres here or something. If you click in, you actually end up with quite a lot of good movies. They've got some real bangers. They have Inception and Interstellar. They've got Elf. Like, the collection's actually busted. It's really, really good. I was definitely surprised here at the quality of the movies, but I thought, they're just leading me on. Let's get to the real source of what makes a good entertainment system. Are the TV shows any good? Again, the UI is weird as, right? They got TV episodes and they got TV series. Like what? And then highlights. I don't know what is going on here, but they've got Alex Rider, Series 1. This is obscure as. They've only got 2 episodes, so come on. But Alex Rider's that was a book I read when I was 10. That basically improved my comprehension skills 10x because I just got addicted to reading this whole series. Bon Appetit Season 1. Dude, I love the Bon Appetit thing before it all fell apart. They've got Molly baking pumpkin spice bread. Like what? What dude at Royal Jordanian? Who selected all this stuff? Considering how hideous the UI is, they've actually got a pretty decent selection of movies and TV shows. It's getting quite hard to hate Royal Jordanian. Like I really do still from last night, but it's getting better, basically. There's 2 flies flying around in here, too. I guess, finally, let's just talk about power. There's the standard AC outlet up there, and then down below, we got a USB. Let's check out the watts. We're on, and we're getting 4.3, so it's basically a 5-watt charger. I've said this many times now. That is, once again, a bit disappointing. Anything over 10 is good. 10 and above is great. Anything below 5, some of them are 2.5, that's atrocious. 5 is bare minimum to be decently usable. After a pretty short stay in Europe, it was time to head home, and this time we were flying out of Rome on one of Royal Jordanian's regional Embraer jets. As you can see here, the business class seats are just leather recliners, still pretty comfortable, but definitely not a lie-flat bed. I'm not going to do a review here, I'm just going to note some of the differences on this flight out versus the flight into Paris. Now, the food on this leg, apart from the nuts, was nowhere near as good as the flight out to Paris. It wasn't served home style on a trolley. Instead, she took my order and then it all came out on a single tray. And it just wasn't as good this time round. It was definitely edible. It just wasn't anywhere near as nice as the flight to Paris. My main the main oddity is the crew members, right? So in business class, at least, there's the main head purser, flight attendant guy. He's this older, probably Jordanian guy, and then this woman, flight attendant woman. They're both lovely. When I got on the plane, they were friendly. Well, they're both maybe not lovely. They're both friendly. No problems there. Just the behavior's a bit weird. It's at the front, they were just sitting during takeoff and stuff. During takeoff, while we were taxiing, the head purser guy just sat behind me and ate a bag of nuts, the nuts we get given in business class. I could smell them and hear him crunching, which was strange. I thought he was just going to sit there during takeoff, but then he got back up and went and sat in a jump seat, right when we pulled up to the runway. So weird behavior. And then anyway, when they got up, he was kind of, they sort of, I don't know if they were arguing or something, or just, it didn't seem nice. Maybe that's just the way it is here. It was a really weird bit there in the middle where she just was walking up and down the aisle. Probably did it 15 times. She was just walking up and down, holding this bottle of water, but not offering it to anyone. We didn't have cups either. She literally did 12 laps. It was weird. Anyway, she's disappeared now. And then he, the main purser guy, is again now sitting in the row behind me, just playing on his phone, watching something, just chilling in the business class seat, which feels like it's one of those things that, if I saw this on Singapore Airlines or Qantas or Qatar or Emirates and got a blurry Bigfoot style picture, right? Of the head purser flight attendant relaxing in a business class seat during a flight. I feel like that would be instant firing, right? Not a huge fan of the service. I'm cool with relaxed service, but at least, be semi-professional. Otherwise, this is a perfectly fine toilet. And finally, the entertainment. I wasn't sure if there was going to be any on this flight because there was no obvious screen or anything. I know there wasn't anything. I thought maybe this had something to do with it. pretty sure that's just an ashtray. Within about 2 minutes of taking off, she came around and gave me an iPad. It'll do. If you kind of remember, I roasted the UI on the Dreamliner. It's not that much better here, but it's probably it's a bit more usable just because it's an iPad and everything's a bit more fluid. So I think it's the same selection as the Dreamliner. I'm pretty sure it's the same selection as the Dreamliner, except there's literally no movies. I've clicked around everywhere. They just have TV shows. Kind of weird. I'm not sure, maybe it's a space issue with the iPads. Back in Amman airport, hopefully a little bit less traumatic this time. I'm pretty sure that's where I had my mental breakdown. I've blown too much money on this trip, but you can always make more money. There are two reasons as to why I might consider doing this type of route again. First, it's the status credits. Royal Jordanian is a member of One World. This meant that I was able to credit all of these flights to my Qantas account. All of these business class flights totaled up to 420 status credits in total and pushed me over to gold, which look, it's nice. You get lounge access and it has some minor preferential treatment, but it seems like everybody and their dog has some sort of status these days. So it's not that big of a deal. The big thing that I noticed was when I was in the US, if you have One World status, when you're flying on American Airlines or Alaskan Airlines, you get free baggage, free checked bags. I've done quite a few segments since I hit gold, and this has already saved me hundreds, if not close to 1,000 Australian dollars in extra baggage fees. American Airlines is also super cool here, and they give you exit row or extra legroom seats for free, even on the cheapest ticket. So all round, that's where I noticed it the most. This wasn't explicitly a status run though. If you don't know what a status run is, it's basically where absolute mad lads will spend all day flying across the country to maximally exploit the best status credit per dollar deal, and this just wasn't quite like that. And this is where it flows into my second point. The legs that I flew with Qatar Airways were simply incredible. The lounges, it was just ridiculous. I've got some more videos coming soon on that. I kind of want to do it again just for the Qatar side of things. I hope you all enjoyed that video. Subscribe for more stuff like this. Check out flightformula.com. I've got some tools there for utilizing your frequent flyer points. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. I got properly corrected last time. It's Talus. It's not Thales, not Tails. Talus.